see footage from within City Hall chambers on January 9th of this incident?
Yes.
Have you seen this CD before?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you see that?
City Hall, we actually give a lot of footage to different places. We put them on sticks, memory sticks, and footage for that for a lot of different attorneys. So, yeah.
I'm going to pull up a shot of what the Fremont Estates Exhibit 5 and ask you if you recognize it before I move to admit it. Yeah, do you mind just for a second, I want to ask you if you recognize this so we can present this to the jury.
Yes.
And what's the date on this?
January 9th, 2019.
Thank you. The state moves to admit what's been Fremont Estates Exhibit 5 into evidence.
Mr. Gilbert.
No objection.
All right, 5 is received. You can go to step down and testify.
Yeah, I hate to do that, but I
That's
want
that's fine.
I want
And
you
then
to-
just make sure that you're kind of standing near some of the microphones and kind of keeping your voice up. Just want to make sure the record's capturing your
Sure.
testimony.
Which mic? Here?
Just in there, yeah, and I'm gonna move over to the side there, if that's okay with the
Yeah.
board. So I'm just gonna start playing it, and I'll ask you some questions as we go.
Okay.
Do you see the defendant at this point?
I do.
And where is he?
He's right here.
And who's that man next to him?
That's Officer Palazzi. He's actually a sergeant, sorry.
Sorry. And is that Sergeant Palazzi putting his hand up to block the light as you described?
Yes.
Do you see any reflection of light onto Sergeant Palazzi's hand?
Yes.
And do you see the light on Mr. Davis' camera from here?
Yes.
If you had to guess, what distance do you think this camera is from where the defendant's standing right now?
What distance it's from where?
In feet from the camera to the defendant.
From the camera here to?
From the City Hall camera.
Oh, from the City Hall cam. Well, there's City Hall cameras on both sides, and they're 360-degree cameras. So I'm going to say the camera's pretty well far away from him. It's up in the corner.
Do you see any other lights in this image?
I do. I see the clock right here.
Okay. Any others?
No.
And is that you who just went up to
That
speak?
is me. Yes.
And what are you saying at this point in time?
You just have to turn the light on.
I see someone on the bottom right who just put up his finger. Do you remember is he saying anything?
Yeah, he's the one that's actually screaming. He's the one that's screaming, "Don't touch him, keep your hands off him, leave him alone." He's the one that started the discussion.
Who's that walking down the middle? Between the
That's Tanya, Officer Coleman, Sergeant Coleman.
she works at Chief for us also.
She is, yeah.
that the defendant coming down the middle
Yes,
there?
yes.
I want to go back and focus on you for a second here.
Okay.
Tell us what you're doing when you walk over here.
I walk
You
over
put up
here
your
because
hand.
they're actually telling me over the wall, and then that's when he went into recess, and I looked over at Dorothy, and she said, cleared.
So when you put your hand up, are you,
Cleared in council.
that's you saying clear,
Yeah,
clear
clear
to
to
council?
council, yeah.
And then everybody gets up here?
Yep.
As everybody's clearing the chambers here, where's the defendant?
He's right in front. This is Chris and myself and John are just making sure that he doesn't go towards the dais, towards Hardesty, because he's yelling at Hardesty at this point.
And what does it, what does it look like Sergeant Platts is doing with his hand here?
He's blocking the light.
Do you all give any directives? Have you ever given a directive, any directives to G4S security officers to block filming?
No, they're allowed to film.
You see that little
Blue card?
Little blue card. Can you tell us where it came from and what it is, if
So-
you know what it is from
I know
here?
exactly what it is,
Or-
yeah. So that little blue card is it's a notice to tell you that you have disrupted and now you have to leave council now. You've been trespassed out of city council. That's what that card is. They try to do it to where it's very, not so abrasive, so that, just telling them it's time to stop what you're doing and just move out of chambers. That's what that card is. And he gets it from, we have a desk over here where the officer sits, Protective Mayor's detail sits over here, and that's where he gets that card from.
And does it appear as if he tries to give the card to the defendant?
Yeah, he does. Oftentimes we try to give that card to people when they tear it up, but he tries to give it to them and then he just walks away from it.
At this point in time, you've given the directive for everyone to clear chambers. Has anyone, either yourself or any of the other G4 security officers, told the defendant specifically that he needs to leave?
We all have. At that point, we've already cleared chambers, we're telling everybody they need to go, and that's why he takes off the other direction.
Now he goes off screen here.
Mhm.
You mentioned that there's 360,
Right.
degree cameras. Are you aware of any footage of anything happening in chambers with the defendant that faces that way that's available?
So this camera over here only goes to the center, and then we have a camera on the other side that comes this way. So I know that there's a camera that comes this way, but it stops. Again, there's blind spots over on the city council. There's not anymore, but there was blind spots on each side by the doors. You can't see anything past those because there's two pillars there. And so the camera couldn't get around the pillars. And so those pillars, we have no view of anything that's there. So we've had to install more cameras so that we have the view from both doors of what's happening at the doorways.
And when were those new cameras installed?
Those were installed after January, well, it was after this incident. It was probably about 3 weeks after this incident happened. We realized that it's time to get some cameras there because it's a blind spot and it could be dangerous.
So now here we see, you mentioned in your earlier that there was a point in time where you had stepped outside into the community area. To your knowledge, the defendant was still inside chambers with security and everyone else.
Over in the blind spot.
Right, and
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and everyone else has been cleared. Now it looks
Right.
like here the last remaining person.
Right, Tanya was actually walking out.
And so you're still in chambers here. So does that mean this is Mr. Davis has not yet left chambers even
No,
though he's
this
off
is
screen?
this is on the other side of the chamber, so she's walking him out, and Chris went to the other side to help finish clearing out the opposite side, yes.
Okay.
I stayed here, I'll stay here, I'll be the last person out of here, supposedly. When I see that they've got everybody on to the doors, then I walk out, because at that point, Dorothy's asking for trespass notice.
At any point do you give a directive to call law enforcement?
I believe that I did. I believe that I was given the directive from Dorothy to go ahead and call 911 because he refused to leave the kitty to the city council.
Okay. Why don't you talked a little bit about how you specifically have authority to clear chambers and tell a person to leave, and how Ms. Elmore has that authority. Does any of the other G4S security officers that we talked about, do they have the authority to make that call?
No.
Once the call has been made, or they've been given a directive from yourself or Ms. Elmore, do they then have the authority to go tell someone you need to leave?
Yes, our officers do. Once they hear that they've been asked to leave, we'll continue to ask them to leave. We just assume they leave on their own than to have somebody arrested. I mean, that's not our goal. Our goal is to just keep telling them to go ahead and leave, and oftentimes we get, just have them arrested, so. They won't call, yeah, we are the only ones that will call off the police.
And in this instance, you said you were the one that made the call
Yes.
to the
Oh, my
police?
mama, yes.
Okay. Thank you. What's best? Yeah.
Hi, Ms. Guerrero.
How are
I'm
you?
George Gilbert. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I represent Mr. Davis here, and I know we heard your testimony about this incident that happened January 9th. That wasn't the first time you encountered Mr. Davis, was it?
No.
No. Do you remember when the first time was?
Oh, no.
No. Was it, let's see, was it a while ago?
We've had encounters with him several times, so I can't give you exact times
Okay.
when the first time I encountered.
And you've been working at the city hall for a year or so?
No. I've been with G4S for almost 3 years.
Okay.
I have been in charge of the security team for just a little over a year. I was one of the protective mayor's detail officers.
Okay. So, in your capacity as a security officer, have you known Mr. Davis before? And I'm talking about from January 19th of this year. At that point in time, had you known him for, say, a year?
I would say yeah.
And had you seen him more than 5 times?
Possibly. Comes in City Hall all the time,
He comes to City Hall frequently.
frequently,
Yeah. Had you seen him 10 times?
possibly.
And he, there are certain people that come to free. Some people might come to City Hall and you've never seen them before,
That is
correct?
correct.
And some people come there, you might call them regulars.
Regular, every week.
Yeah. Okay. Would you consider Mr. Davis a regular?
I would say yes.
And he would come there and he liked the film, didn't he?
I would just say objection. That goes to Mr. Davis's state of mind. Ms. Guerrero can say she's aware of what he does, but not what he likes or doesn't like.
Withdrawn.
Yeah, okay. We'll stand the objection if you're withdrawing it.
He often had a camera with him, didn't he?
Yes.
And he often filmed with that camera that he had with him, didn't he?
Yes.
Now, you know how people are and how they appear. Did it appear to be something he was doing voluntarily?
Are you talking about a specific time, or are you talking about in general?
In general.
In general, he was there to film. That's what he did.
And before January 9th, he had actually been ejected from City Hall before, hadn't he?
Yes,
You had ejected him?
I have.
Yeah. And John Palazzi, did I get that right?
John Palazzi.
John Palazzi, he also ejected him?
John Palazzi doesn't have the authority to eject.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only one, Dorothy's the only one.
Okay. So you had ejected Mr. Davis. Had Dorothy Elmore also objected, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
More than once?
Yes.
Several times? Now, you said that the light on the camera is something that is against the rules, correct?
It is against rules.